How you doing? This is Evangelist John Dye with evangelistjohndye.com and heartministriesonline.com, here to give you another Easter message. Praise the Lord, everybody out there. We do this so that we can look and see where we really are today with the state of our nation, as well as where we are with God. So, saying all that, let's get right into it. Well, right now, America's involved themselves in another war. Not that our nation is at war, but they had a hand in helping provoke it and getting it to where it is. And, you know, we as a people have got to the point where we want a president that has nothing to do with war. That was the whole purpose and point of ending wars in Afghanistan and in other places, between Obama to Joe Biden, to trying to end wars, not start wars. But once again, it's that same old playbook when you have these, I hate to say it, but it's the truth, when you have these old white men in power. They keep continually wants to be involved with wars and raising millions of dollars for money for war so that money can go into their accounts. That's really what it's all about, my friend. It's not about that. Let's give Donald Trump a little bit of credit. At least when he came in, he tried to get back to doing things for America. And people was ready to take care of the people and the citizens in America. There's a lot of hurting people in America. There's a lot of homeless people in America. In every city, you see it. It's out front and open, There's a lot of, unnecessary violence going on right now because the political climate is so bad. It's such a division within the nation between the Republicans and the Democrats, and neither side is pretty good, to be quite honest. One side is racist as can be, the Republicans, and they ain't gonna vote for nothing or do nothing to help nobody. And the other side gets power, and then they stop thinking about America and start thinking about foreign affairs and start worrying about the whole rest of the world when we're not trying to police the rest of the world. That's the old Cold War days. We're not doing that no more. Each country got to step up to the plate and take care of its own business. That's why we ended wars. That's why the American people was trying to vote for presidents that would stop wars, not provoke them. And Biden, he done some things here during this pandemic. It took hold and it shook the world and, shook the nation and, God will be done, and a pandemic hit and, cures were found and people debated whether they wanted to do this or that or wear masks or get shots and get boosters. I believe you should get your shot and your boosters and try to take care of yourself and do the responsible thing and be healthy, But I'm not here to debate that right now. I'm just here telling you about the state of the nation and telling you about God's will when we get to that part. But I am laying it out here for you because we have a Democratic president that seems to act like he's a Republican president. In his own State of the Union address, he said he was a capitalist. That means he's all about the money. That don't mean about the people. Because there's a lot of things he hasn't done for the 7 million people that voted for him. He hasn't done anything for the minorities and the blacks. He's done some things for women. He's done some things to help out the pandemic. But there was a lot of promises made to the blacks when all the black people were being killed. All the black boys and some of the girls were being killed, and it was real bad. And police brutality was at the top, and it was real bad. And they were supposed to address those issues, as they should have, in the sight of God and man. But, of course, it's been swept under the rug, and they swept it under the rug, and, Republicans didn't sign no bills really to help out the people during that time. They watered down the thing from whatever it was, 3 trillion all the way down to 1 something, because they didn't want to be a part of it. And Biden, of course, he goes along with anything they say. And anytime they raise all the inflation just went skyrocketed because they lost the election. Democratic president, all the businessmen and the rich people, they just started raising prices on everything. And I want to address that a little bit because I think it's a crime. I think it's a shame. I think it's an atrocity. Because the fact of the matter is, during the pandemic, the business people lost a lot of money. And the government, of course, you know they always do. The first people that they reimburse is the business people and the rich people. And the rich people got paid during the pandemic, and the politicians made sure that they got money for their losses across the board from every industry. And then they turned around and, passed out a little bit of money for the people, which wasn't enough, but they did it. And then they turned around and tried to pass out some stuff for people to get something for food, for the poor. And they done that. But that's not the problem. Here's the problem. Right after they got all the money and passed it out to the people, and they didn't freeze all the pricing and make sure nothing goes up for the next 5 years, they allowed the rich people then to come back after they got paid once, because they lost the election, to allow all the rich people and the Republicans to raise all the prices and create this inflation. Next thing you know, gas prices doubling. Next thing you know, meat prices doubling. Next thing you know, fruits and vegetables doubling. Every time you turn on the TV, everybody want to raise their prices on everything. Now, even today, they just come out with they want to raise the price on eggs and make your breakfast go up. Just took everything from the poor people. Hamburger even went up. It's a shame, my friend, in the sight of God and man. And here's the thing. They had got paid once. Now they're getting paid twice. What they're trying to do is just punish the people and punish the people for voting for Biden, for voting for a Democrat, really. And so they've made all these prices go up. But I think somebody should do something about that and take that price gouging. And the government needs to figure out a way to start to make things stabilize out and make sure that people can't raise prices and continue to raise wages and to continue to raise the money for the people, because that little bit of money you handed them out, they went back after you paid them, the rich people, they went back now, they done stole the money back from the people that handed it out. And the politicians know that because they kind of going along with it to allow this to go on. And it's wrong to do this, to raise the prices on the things that poor people need and to eat. That's not good. And sooner or later, God will catch up with them. Don't worry about that. Moving on. Like I said, they tell Biden this, they tell Biden that. They whisper in his ear, and you know what? He's quick to go along with anything that the rich people are saying and doing. But when we started talking to him about doing something for the people, about this brutality, about racism, about all this stuff that's going on, people acting up in the streets, now they're running over people with trucks and on the highway. It's just bad. Everywhere you look, somebody's doing something, running over people at cafes, running cars down through parades. I mean, they just clowning because they're trying to kill as many people before the next election. That's all it's coming down to, my friend. He had an outstanding, I think the man that was a Supreme Court justice that stepped down, I think he's wonderful. I think he's seen the time, and he knows that he's been there way too long, and he didn't have to do it, but he did do it. And that's an honorable thing he did. He deserves an award to step down during Biden's presidency so that Ketanji Brown Jackson could be nominated, because he had his time in life. And I think you need to look at how you leave this world. And he stepped down. Be on the right side of history when you do something. Considering that, he did it. And a lot of them other people up there that's old and been there for 30 and 40 years, they know they've been there too long. It's time to step down and allow the younger people to step in and start making laws that are more conducive to what's going on in our society, as we have more of a mixed race society of people that's getting along, but we still have those old ones that's stirring up the old ways, because it's never going to be a white supremacist world anymore. You might as well face it. But yet, the Republicans holding on tooth and nail, won't vote for nothing. Here this woman is, that's been nominated. She's done an outstanding job, been a judge for a long time. I mean, she's really the best of us. I mean, if you're talking about following the rules and doing the right things and everything that they encourage you to do as a person in society, and she's done all that and worked her way to the top and earned her way to the top, and then to be nominated, and then the Democrats all vote for her, and only 3 Republicans vote for her. 47 Republicans decide not to vote for her. That type of racism should not be tolerated in our society, and all 47 of them need to be fired immediately, and they shouldn't be able to run for office. And also, a lot of them was part of that January 6th riot on the Capitol building to hurt politicians. And if you can't judge your own people, how in the world are you going to judge the rest of the world and the rest of the people that live in your nation? You know, time and time again, you know, the guys that wanted to kidnap Governor Whitman with that old racist thing and trying to start a race war, they found them not guilty. If you can't judge your own people, quit trying to judge everybody else. Quick to say something bad about a black person or a minority, but you won't even judge your own people. Get your own people in line first. And there's a lot going on in this world. And I'm not prejudiced. I'm calling it like it is. You know? And Biden needs to start thinking about some of these promises he made to the blacks and the minorities and start fulfilling some of them. Instead of trying to go around and provoke and start wars. You know, that man over there in Russia, he was not going to let you come over there and build no missile system on those blank pieces of land over there so that you can shoot a missile to Russia and Iran and continue to start wars. John F. Kennedy wasn't going to let Russia come over and start building no missile system in Cuba to shoot to America. He said that was an act of war and he was going to go to war immediately if they didn't get out of there. And so it's the same thing. That man said he wanted to sit down with y'all from Russia, Putin, and talk to y'all and say, you know, let's sort this thing out before it get out of hand. But no, Biden couldn't do that as a good public relations type person. He wanted to stoke the flames of fire. He wanted to stroke fear. He wanted to stroke war. He gonna demand everybody do this and do that. And the man over there in Ukraine going right along with it because everybody trying to raise a lot of money, and that money gonna disappear into people's bank accounts because it's the same old playbook from old white politicians. Period. That's why we need some younger people in there of all different races so that we can get back to peace and love and helping one another and doing what's right for America. I wrote earlier that this thing was not going to be good for America, that war was not good for America, that it was going to drive up all the prices so that they can steal back all the money that they gave you. And that's exactly what happened, my friend. Every time I tell you something, whatever I tell you is exactly what's going to happen because God told me to come and tell you. So, once again, I'm here telling you so that you'll know exactly what's going to happen. And so, you know, if I was on the other side, I wouldn't let you build no missile system in my side of the world to shoot over there and start wars with me and the people over there that we supposed to be trying to work together. Just like they ain't on America's side of the world trying to start wars and with the people that America working with. And we should know that as citizens and stop falling for this same old playbook and get back to peace. Because I'm going to read some scriptures for you about peace from, I think it's 1 Timothy 2:8. I think you got Psalms 37:7-9. You got Psalms 37:37. I mean, you got Isaiah. I mean, but you know, this thing is wrong, it's deep, and it's because this country is so far from God. There is no spirituality here, and people are just running this thing politically, and it's so divisive. And it's so, you can see right through it, it's all about the money. And it's all about the people at the top. And they not stepping down, stepping away from them jobs. And they need to step down, step away from them jobs so we can have a more universal, peace-loving world and nation. Saying all that, you know, my heart goes out for all the people that's, you know, suffering in the world. Not just, you know, from this war, but I mean the people right here in America that's suffering because they didn't ask for war. And all their prices have went up and all their gas prices have went up. And you know, they're not doing anything to help the people here. But they quick to run around and help people everywhere else around the world. Biden is in foreign affairs and getting involved with other people's things. That's why him and his sons is all messed up, shuffling money around through that. And that's all coming out now. But let us move on to some other things. As a nation of people, we have to make up your mind which side you're on. You've got to get back to putting God back in your lives Get back to putting God back in your heart, in your mind, in your home, most importantly, so that you can start to train the children and retrain the children to start to know something about God. Because the generation we're in today, they don't know nothing about God. God has been far removed from them for a long time and been replaced with money and possessions and material things. And people are living for those material things, cars and houses and nice clothes, and running around, and it's still about the haves and the have-nots, and those who have is more greedy than ever, trying to keep it all to themselves at the top, and those who don't have is ready to cut your throat to get something because it ain't trickling down to them. And it's just sad that we don't have somebody that will come in and make life more fair across the board for all people, so that the top can come down a little and the bottom can come up a little, so that people can get along better. And the only thing that can really do that is, one, a black president, and two, the Spirit of God, so that somebody can care about people from the heart and be sincere. Spirituality, of which people is going to church and then leaving and going out doing crazy things, and it's not good in the sight of God. So we don't need you to be political. We don't need you to be religious. We don't need you to be social. Too much fun, all work and no play make Jack a dull boy. Too much play is good, bad, and too much work is bad, and too much fun is bad. But we need there to be a balance right in the middle, where people just enjoy their lives and get along, laugh and smile with one another, because you're better off when all the races in the nation get along together. And the only thing that can unite you in that is the love for God and the glory of God that dwells in the heart of each individual that chooses to choose God. For God works out these plans for those who love Him, who are called according to His purpose. Like Jeremiah say, I know the plans I have for you, not to harm you or to hurt you, but to give you hope and a future. So, my friends, I know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's up to you, each individual. We have to weed these old politicians out, and we have to bring in more diversity in every area of life, all the way down from the streets all the way up to the White House, so that people can laugh and smile and get along and work and have something to eat together, and work together, and just camaraderie together, even talk together without being divisive. You know, but as long as we allow this racism and this Republican Party to get away with what it's doing, like it did on January 6th, to not vote for things that we know that the world has changed and they don't want to change, until you're ready to judge your own people and deal and be on the right side of history, to just weed them out as being the wrong type of people, not white or black or this or that, but we know it is. That's all about that right now. But if you're not ready to weed these people out and get back to making the world a better place, then you need to leave this world. You need to step down. You need to, whatever it takes, because God needs to come through here and clean this place up, because there's a lot of hurting and suffering people. As for the people over in Ukraine and all this stuff, you know, you're trying to get involved with all these foreign affairs, and there's a lot of things that's happening behind the scenes, and now you ain't got your country towed down, and now you people on the run, and you're listening to other people's promises, and knowing you should be working with people on your side of the world to make things right for all the people on your side of the world, instead of listening to people way somewhere else. That even comes down to individual people. Who listens to somebody way in another city when you living in another city? You trying to work things out within the people within your neighborhood, your city, your state, trying to make things right for you and your family. But that's what happens when you don't have the Spirit of God. You follow the crowd, and the crowd get you all messed up. And that's what's going on in this war. And now the people over there is messed up and got to go live in somebody else's country until people settle down and make an agreement to not put a missile system over there and start another war. And maybe then he'll leave them people alone and let them rebuild the part of the world over there, so they can come back to their homeland and work together with the people on their side of the world. And Biden needs to get somewhere to sit down and stay on his side of the world and try to help these people in America. And we need a president that's ready to help the people here in America. Now, saying all that, let me just read these couple of scriptures for you. Like I said, since it's during this Easter time, and I'm sure you'll like it. I'm sure you'll like it. Okay. Let me read this for you, because I want y'all to hear this. You're going to like this. Just 2 or 3 scriptures, not nothing major. Just something to meditate on. Meditate in your heart and your mind. To bring back change to your life. To bring the Spirit back to you and your life. It says, present suffering and the future glory. This is Romans 8:18 through 31. It says, I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. For the creation was subject to frustration not by its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected, in hope that the creation itself will be liberated from bondage to decay and brought into the freedom of the glory of the children of God. It says that God knows you have your own set of ways, and he tries to communicate to you spiritually by various means, because God works in mysterious ways, through people, through this, through events, through surrounding things happening, and to me talking to you right now. He said he knows that you have your own ways, but he said that God, there's a way that seems right to a man, but the end thereof is his own destruction. And God is hoping by putting these things in your life and making these events happen in your life. The pandemic was a great event from God that we see. That it should have shook us to the core to say, you know what, it's time to get back right with God. Especially in America. Especially in America. And it said that it should have shook you to your core from bondage to decay, to come back to not having your own way, because God's ways are higher than our ways, to putting God back in our lives, to start caring about one another and through love and peace, not war and violence. Through camaraderie with all the races, not racism and brutality. Bondage to decay. You're killing yourself is what it's trying to tell you. Moving on. 22. We know that the whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth right up to the present time. Not only so, but we ourselves who have the first fruits of the Spirit groan inwardly as we wait eagerly our adoption as kinship, the redemption of our bodies. As we wait while we live in this world, we hope that it will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And another way of putting it, being on the right side of history. Being on the side of saving people instead of destroying people. Trying to love people instead of hating people. Trying to pick up people instead of knocking people down. Trying to find a way to make people whole again. Salvation. Redeem people instead of locking everybody up and destroying people and breaking their spirit. To create more criminals and more crime. I know you can hear what I'm saying out there today. That's what this nation is all about, but it needs to reverse itself and go back the other way and have the Spirit of God back in politics, back in religion, back in your homes, back in your heart, back in your mind to redeem you from yourself. Look no further in the mirror. When there's a problem, you're making all the decisions, and they're not very good decisions. Moving on. For in this hope we were saved. But hope that is seen is no hope at all. Who hopes for what he already has? But if we hope for what we do not yet have, we wait for it patiently. We wait, we hope, and change. We hope that people would see that the old ways are not working and they will make a change. But you know what? They haven't picked a different Supreme Court justice in 233 years. These people don't like change. They don't want nothing to change. That's why 47 Republicans didn't vote for Ketanji Brown Jackson. But congratulations, Ketanji Brown Jackson. You hoped for it, you waited for it patiently, and you received what you was due to receive through your hard work. You earned it. And the rest of the majority of people seen you earned it and gave you your rightful place in life. But there are still those who are worked against you to hold you back, to hold you down. If they do this to people like you, what you think they're doing to other people who's struggling to try to do what's right, but every time they get up, these people snatch the rug out from under them, kick them and knock them back down, speak false words and rude comments to them. Got people in airports and videotaping and starting fights and in schools and basketball and football games to ruin other people's lives. Everywhere you go, shooting at malls and everywhere you go, just nonsense, because they don't have the first fruits of the Spirit. They're not willing to humble themselves before God and say, Lord, help me be a better version of myself. Help me change. Give me back to, even David, when he was doing, he said, Lord, renew in me my spirit. Give me a new spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, and self-control. To be a better version of myself, that I might be able to help not only myself, but my fellow man. This nation needed bad. That song say they got it bad. They got it bad. Evil. They got evil bad. And they need some God to break it up, because they don't want to judge themselves. Moving on, 26. In the same way, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. We do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us through the wordless groans. When, oh Lord? When they going to change? When, oh Lord? How long do we got to wait? Waiting on them is making everybody else suffer. The question is, when somebody going to call themselves a true leader and make these people step down? A lot of them was involved with that January 6th thing to go in there and hurt their colleagues and politicians. And you mean to tell me y'all scared to remove them from their position and make sure they can't run for office no more, when they was willing to go in and set bombs all outside the place, go all up the steps, kill other people in there, kill officers that are supposed to be protecting the place? A lot of the military was involved in that January 6th. They had on military gear. They should have been kicked out the military. That's not patriotic. That was real bad. That was treason and rebellion at its highest level. It don't even take a genius to figure out what they did. And you mean to tell me you too scared to hold them accountable for what they did, but yet you could protest and be mad about people who protest for somebody like George Floyd being killed? Don't want to have a George Floyd bill, don't want to have a John Lewis voting bill, let the Republicans go around and institute all these voting restrictions after that so they can try to find a way to win and steal the next election? Come on, man. Wake up and smell the coffee. If you ain't finna hold your own people accountable, don't say nothing to nobody else. That's why I don't listen to you. Don't say nothing to me. You can't even hold your own people accountable. And the rest of the world ought to be like that too. It's time for change. It's time to get the Spirit of God that opens your eyes and opens your ears and opens your heart to say, stop that. And we need to do something about it. 27. And he who searches our hearts and knows the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for God's people in accordance with the will of God. It searches our hearts and minds, and the Spirit itself intercedes for us in accordance with God's will. What is it saying? I'm telling you about what God's will is. I don't care about your will. We need people that step down and humble themselves so other people that has God's will in their heart can step up and get those positions and jobs everywhere, from the politicians all the way down to the school teachers, and stop going in talking about they don't want to teach about the true history of this country, that they want to keep on trying to teach white supremacy, and it's not going to last. It's not working no more. People want the truth. It's a terrible place, and it's time to clean it up. It's time to clean up the people who is keeping it going too. And teach the truth about what's going on so that we can get this behind us once and for all, and stop mixing everybody else's stuff with something. What happened to black people in slavery, that's one thing, and they need to be paid for it. You burn down all these schools, churches, homes, businesses, all to make them go to your stores and businesses and homes and schools. And it was wrong. And you need to pay them for it. And whatever else that's happened to these other people, we don't want no violence to happen to nobody. And we need to stop violence against everybody. But it's time to make payments for what you've done to these people. Now, moving on, we're getting there. 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. For those God foreknew, he also predestined, that he might be firstborn among many brothers and sisters. Born again. Renewed your spirit. Rekindle your passion for when you were younger, when you wanted to do the right thing, before somebody derailed you or lied on you or tricked you like they do in this nation. They're a nation of liars. Tricked you and set you off your course to go do something wrong or dabble in something else. They caused all these problems. Now they want to be on the side of causing the problem and be on the side of solving the problem. See, that's the problem with America. They cause all the problems, then they want the money to solve all the problems too, instead of giving people the money who has the spirit that can fix these problems. Because they don't really want to fix no problem, because they all about the money. And as long as they can keep all this stuff going in circles, that's what they all about. It's time for somebody to step in with the Spirit of God, like myself, and put a stop to some of this foolishness. So God predestined me to come to tell you these things. For those he foreknew, he also predestined to be the first fruits among many brothers and sisters. Listen to me, my friend. Listen to my words so you can be born again, so that you can be brothers and sisters on the right side of history, of helping save people's lives. Don't be on the wrong side of history without the Spirit of God, continuing to backbite and lie and trick and deceive and to tear other people's lives down just so that you can have your way. That is not the Spirit of God. And we see it everywhere. So he also called, those he called, he also justified. Those he justified, he also glorified. The glory of God. What then shall we say in response to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us? See, God sent me. God is for me. He's working things out according to his purpose and his plan. That's why I'm here making this tape today, so that you can know the truth. And that truth can set you free, so that you can't say nobody didn't tell you about which side to be on. If you racist ways, sooner or later God will catch up with you. Sooner or later. Because we should be better than that as a nation of people. Now, saying all that, let me read these little few short scriptures about peace that I was trying to tell you about. And, or, you can get to it. One was, I'll just give them to you. 1 Timothy 2:8, and then Psalms 37:7-9. We know that that's there. And Psalms 37:37. Basically, they just talk about us being peaceable towards one another, having that type of spirit of peace, trying to follow God's will about peace-loving ways, and not these old hateful ways that we see going on now, because people are trying to hold on to political power and then hold on to people that'll make laws that's just only good for white people and trying to help them get all the money and land. You've been having the money and land a long time. If it ain't helped you by now, it ain't going to help you. Believe that. It's time to share this world with other people and other races, so that other people can be lifted up and made their lives better. And laws that's never been changed in 233 years need to be changed, so that people can all get along with one another. And that these children can grow up and have some resemblancy of godliness, to be known as the children of God. Because right now, it looks like this whole nation of people is following the devil, because all the ways are evil and violent. And that needs to change. So let us continue to pray for the Spirit of God, continue to pray for people being born again, continuing to hope in change, continue to keep the faith. Even little faith is better than no faith, to say, God, help us and help me make these changes. And then, continuing to praise and trust in God that God will do what God's word said he will do. And God will do it. God is doing it every day. People are being removed, and people are being held accountable You know, some of these police officers doing all this killing, they holding them accountable. Some of these other people are stepping down, and some doing it honorably on the right side of history, and some is going to have to be removed disgracefully because they're corrupt. And this corruption has went on far too long, and we need these changes to take place, and we need to find people who can help these changes take place. For all of you that's suffering out there and hurting out there, once again, I have something for you. Like I said, I was sent to tell you this truth. Everything I wrote down and everything I speak, it has come true. And right here, these two books, Your Personal Destiny, A Complete Guide, is a masterpiece outlined to change your home and to change your life, to change your mind, change your heart, and change the world. It'll change this nation. If we can get this book, and I can get support from people in high places, and I can get support from, you know, actors, models, basketball players, football players, golfers, I don't care what you are, politicians, I don't care who you are, people that can help get this book into the lives of people. I'm just here trying to help change people for the better. That's it. Just an individual person sent by God to try to change as many lives as possible. Let him who have an ear, let him hear. This book, Your Personal Destiny, will get the job done. Traditional publishers, come on, let's get this book in the hands of a multitude of people, because this nation needs some help. My other book, 101 Great Recipes, a cookbook, is a masterpiece too. Affordable ingredients, easy to use recipes where you can't go wrong. Whole meals laid out on the page. Excellent. Tastes great. Like I said, especially during this time with inflation and high prices. I mean, man, it don't get no better than this. With the inflation and the high prices, every household needs this book so that it can help feed these children and help feed these poor people and help feed all people from rich to poor, because the meals are outstanding. The meals here are outstanding. And I lay it out where you can't go wrong. And like I said, Your Personal Destiny, Complete Guide, changing hearts and minds. This nation needs it very bad. Once again, Evangelist John Dye, go to heartministriesonline.com. You can read about me a lot. You can even read the biography of me there. A lot of this stuff was wrote before all this happened. Not all of it has happened. But really, if you want to get these books I just showed you, go to evangelistjohndye.com and click on buy the book and get the book, and put these books in your house and tell everybody you know to get these books, and support me in this effort to change the world and to change the people back to the glory of God. Predestined to do it, sent to do it. We can do it. I need your help. I need your support. Support the truth, be on the right side of history. Or continue to do it your own way, and we'll continue to be here to talk about the wrong way in hopes that mankind will turn back to God. I hope we can get God back in every life, especially during my lifetime. God has sent me to do this. Praise God, and I love you all. God bless America.